Mr. Knaus, Macedonia was supposed to be a priority for the German presidency, with the IGC to be organized in December. Still the case, or a less important point than the more urgent issues in the Union?
Well, I think it is still one of the priorities, but clearly trying to get a mechanism to protect the rule of law in the Union itself, getting a 7-year budget and getting agreement on a historic recovery package are the things that obsess everyone inside the EU. And if you add to this Brexit, which could be going for a hard Brexit that everybody had been fearing in just a few weeks, you see that North Macedonia and Bulgaria are competing for attention. So I talked to senior German politicians yesterday. They care, but I think at this stage, the most important thing will be a clear signal from Skopje what should happen next.
Why does the German presidency not have the capacity to change Borisov's opinion as a member of the EPP, as an important economic investor there?
Well, you are in a better position to answer this because North Macedonia has experienced a decade of vetoes. You had vetoes when the Commission proposed to open talks from Greece. You had them from France. You now have them from Bulgaria. And this is not the only country. I remember very well when Slovenia was vetoing opening chapters for Croatia. This is a design flaw. The present accession process, as it is structured, is not working. We knew that before, but it's very clear now. And so what I think is the only way out is not to expect, of course we hope, but not to expect a change in position from Bulgaria. I think that's not likely in the near future. But to find a way for those in the EU, and there are many who want to help North Macedonia, to make this veto as irrelevant as possible. And there is this experience of Croatia, when Croatia was vetoed, other member states and the Commission kept treating Croatia as if it was negotiating. So it didn't lose any time. And that's, I think, what we need to do now. The Germans don't understand the veto, and they were very surprised by the veto from Bulgaria. I'm not surprised because I've lived in Bulgaria. I wrote a book about Bulgaria, and I remember 25 years ago, this issue of Macedonian identity was an obsession for many Bulgarians. So I'm much less surprised than people elsewhere in Europe.
What should be done for a date in December without violating basic democratic rights?
Well, I think what would be important is a clear message, and I think it should be a national message. The more this comes from all Macedonian parties, the better it would be. A clear message from the Macedonian president, from the government, from the parliament to say, we will not give up on our European destination, but we will also not make a concession on our identity. It's clear to me that this will not happen, but it needs to be clear to everyone in Europe so that there are no illusions. And then to say, what we propose is that we want to be ready in 5 years by meeting the criteria to join the European Common Market and ideally to join the EU. We will be ready. Help us get ready. And appeal to countries that are friends of North Macedonia, Sweden, the Netherlands, Germany, others that think what is happening now is unfair, and say, help us now directly so we don't lose any more time. I think this increases the chance of Bulgaria changing its mind. If you say, oh, now it's hopeless, we are stuck, there's nothing we can do, there will be an illusion in Sofia that perhaps the pressure works. I think it's very important to say, no, here are our red lines, here is our goal, we have a strategy, we will not give up. And in fact, I think this could work perhaps even better then because this veto now is the first of many. I expected there to be many vetoes because the process is broken. And this process has not worked well for Serbia. It's not worked well for Montenegro. It clearly did not bring reforms in Turkey. We need a better process.
Yes. At the last ministerial meeting, the Union shook Bulgaria for the rule of law. Can this be understood as a pressure?
No, I think there is a big debate, a very heated debate in the Union on the rule of law. It's not just Bulgaria.
Between the five countries is Bulgaria too.
Yes, I mean it's the trouble is that on the rule of law, the Union lacks strong instruments. I mean, there is one instrument which is the most important by far, which is the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg. But the other instrument to, for example, stop dispersing EU money, well, that's a big debate at the moment. There is a big fight. So at the moment, the Union has very limited instruments. And the Union is not good at putting pressure on any one member state. It's not an empire. You know, it can't just send an EU police into a province to restore order. Fortunately, the EU is a union of sovereign democracies that agreed to share sovereignty on some issues, but in the end, you need to persuade everyone. So in the end, the strategy for North Macedonia is how do we communicate so clearly to the rest of the Union and to Bulgaria what our red lines are so that there are no illusions? And secondly, what do we want our friends in Europe to do today to help us in the interests of our citizens?
Are Hungary and Poland in a bad way influencing the adoption of the framework by blocking the budget of the last General Affairs Council?
It diverts attention, but it's not the central issue. Listen, Bulgaria has been arguing like this, and I know it already in 1992. You know, Bulgaria has, and I think that's fine. Bulgaria has a different view of history than Serbia, than Turkey, and then North Macedonia. The trouble is, the moment this becomes a condition, it becomes unacceptable. But Bulgaria already talked about this early in 2020, long before the Polish and Hungarian veto.
What are the chances to start negotiation with you by the end of the year?
Well, I think I would work on a plan B because that would increase the chances of a plan A. Now, if North Macedonia and a few friends, a few other member states show clearly that after everything North Macedonia has done, it will not be stopped now. Just look at what it means to not open chapters. Montenegro has opened all chapters already, all of them in 8 years. And when you look at how the EU regards progress in Montenegro, North Macedonia is on the same level, right? So opening the chapters has not helped Montenegro. What helps is closing chapters, which means achieving the results. And you can close all the chapters in 1 year if you have already done the reforms. So I think the strategy should be, you can't be blackmailed. Perhaps your parliament can pass a resolution and state this clearly with cross-party support. North Macedonia will not be blackmailed. It will not give up its right to call its language and its people as it wants. But at the same time, you will not be pressured because you have an alternative plan and you have friends who help you with this. This is the key. And that, I think, will also get your neighbor to recognize there are different views of history, but this can never be an issue of the accession process.
My last question is, could the hate speech that Bulgaria is speaking about these days, but it's mostly on social media, here can be an excuse for a blockage in December also?
No. I mean, if you look around Europe at social media, the debates today in many EU member states and in many other candidates that are negotiating, I mean, you wouldn't talk to anyone anymore if you look whether there is tension.